Hi everyone, welcome back to Photomode UNPLUGGED. We are your hosts, Ruben and Mick. And before we start this episode, you still have a chance to enter our giveaway of a Steam key for Jedi Survivor. You just have to subscribe and leave a comment on our past video on which photo do you prefer, mine or this guy's. Hi.
Well, and join the popular opinion.
The very popular opinion, by the way.
Hey, just get used to it. Told you, likes don't mean anything. Yeah, but please go and enter because you've. We thought I'd just keep it open for a while, give people a chance. So check out the last video,
and give Respawn a chance to patch the game on PC.
On PC,
So-
yeah,
So
still
we,
been fine on PlayStation.
yeah,
But yeah, I was shaking my head at the start because if this ends up with no sound again, because for anyone who didn't know, we had to re-record last week because you had no sound. And just before we start, you're like, "Oh, hang on." He's messing with the mic. Yeah, it'll work, I promise.
everything.
Oh my
I'm
God.
seeing the levels. Everything is working as intended.
Is it?
It is.
Mm-hmm.
We shouldn't be laughing.
We shouldn't, no, because it's a somber and sad time, actually.
Yeah, it's
Why?
a very sad time. Pixelopus, the studio, the PlayStation studio behind Concrete Genie, and
Yeah, entwined.
shut down
The
this past
or
weekend.
the shutting, yeah, it's in
Yeah.
June, I think. By coincidence, by pure chance, I was wearing this last week, so I've had to wear it again now because
And you didn't wash it.
it was in the wash, and I was like, oh, it's not been washed yet, so I had to dig it back out.
We shouldn't be laughing.
No. So anyway, yes, very prized T-shirt, and even more prized, that little genie up there is my single most favorite collectible item.
Why?
Absolutely love it. Why? Because you cannot get it anywhere. It's from the studio, and you cannot get them. I always thought that they would sell them. I want them all. There was like 4 or 5 different colours, and I'd love to know where they went. Pixelopus, if you're watching and you have them, please send them to us, and they will be a permanent mascot on the show.
Yeah, for sure.
You can maybe even give Ruben one. I'll allow it.
Oh, that would be cool. Yeah. We decided to do this episode about not just Pixelopus but other studios closing down because we both enjoyed Concrete Genie so much. Yeah, it for me it was like the first really creative photo mode that
Yeah.
from when I started, every photo mode was pretty much the same tools, and that one offered the option to basically animate your photos, which was pretty cool.
So we'll have a look at it later, actually, because we've set it all up again.
What?
Yeah. I've dug out the collector's edition PlayStation 4. The 500 million edition has been dusted off because it still had Concrete Genie installed. So we'll have a look at it afterwards. But yeah, even that studio is a really small studio. I think it was only like 9 people and 2 creative leads. And because I looked into where their origin was, and I think they were put together as a kind of a student project to bring people in. You know, I don't know the exact name of the program or anything, but so they've got these student developers and put them together and gave them established leads, and that's where they came from. I think it was in 2014. But they've been like a really novel and creative group, haven't they? And even Concrete Genie, ironically enough, the theme of the game is kind of about stifling creativity, you know, because Ash there is trying to bring life and light back to the town, which is overrun by these oppressive bullies, and you undo that. Unfortunately, the business people have done the reverse now, haven't they? So it's a shame.
Yeah, it is. I remember really striking my creative side with like the drawings that you could do, the things that you could do, and even the boss fights. They weren't like super technique, but they were like creative. And the way that I remember that you have a really good photo of Ash cuddling one of
The downed one.
the
Yeah.
downed one, and I really like that game.
Yeah. It's one of those games that number of times I keep thinking, I'm going to go back to Concrete Genie. And I never got around to it. Thankfully, you still can. It's not like the game's gone away or anything. So, and if you haven't played Concrete Genie, go and get it, because you will enjoy it. It's not very long.
No, it's like 6 hours.
yeah,
It's an
something like
easy
that.
platinum. I have the platinum.
Do you know what? My daughter platinumed it when before we'd properly set up a child account, and it was just like a guest account or something. And so she got the platinum on like a local profile. And then I made her the child account that can actually sync trophies, and you couldn't synchronize the existing trophies, so she lost the platinum.
Oh.
Yeah. So I'll make her play it again, actually.
I have two PlayStation accounts, and that's on my first account. So have to check that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a great game for virtual photographers. Like there are a lot of virtual photography opportunities on that game.
Oh yeah, it's quite a novel art style as well, actually. It's a novel art style and a really novel photo mode, and a photo mode that's quite in keeping with the game itself. That sort of free form in a way, isn't it? It's quite different to other photo modes. But the studio's shut. It's not the first time, is it? I mean,
sadly.
Yeah. So you just told me about another one that I didn't even know about.
Yeah. Luminous Productions,
I had no idea.
Forspoken, and they, and this one hurts because I want to pick up the game. I didn't pick up at launch because of the price. I thought the asking price was too high, and the thing is, they were very supportive of photo mode and the virtual photography community since the launch of the game, and even before, when they introduced on social media. We did an episode about it.
Yeah.
Like, it's a shame.
It is. I mean, the photo mode was even in the demo, and it was a really good one as well, actually.
Yeah.
The game, I guess, got some mixed reviews. A lot of people really liked it, though. I think the demo itself put some people off. I didn't really engage with the combat in the demo, so that possibly one of the reasons.
I think it wasn't a very good demo. I always think that the best way to do demos is like do the first hour of the game. Like, see if the first hour clicks with the players and go from there. It didn't click with me. I played through the demo and I just thought, okay, it's a game that I'm probably going to buy when it's on discount.
Yeah. That's the downside with game pricing the way it is at the minute. Yeah. It makes you think twice about, should I buy this now, or I'll buy the one I'm definitely going to play now and I'll wait for later. But that hurts the studios.
A side note about that hurting the studios is Days Gone. The one of the directors was saying a few years after the game and the rumors of a sequel never be launched, that buying games on a discount, buying games on waiting for PS Plus and things like that actually hurts their chances for keeping that IP alive.
I think it probably depends on the budget or the scale of the game, because you take something like Fall Guys, which went straight onto PlayStation Plus in lockdown as well, and that couldn't have done any better. If that had just gone on sale, there's no way that Fall Guys would have been as big a success as it was.
Yeah, Rocket League is a great example.
It perfect example.
Because,
and that's now like a massive ongoing service, basically.
It's now a free-to-play game.
Yeah, like an actual esport game as well. Yeah. So it can go both ways, but definitely when because let's be fair, obviously the studio does the work, but invariably, unless it's an indie, as an independently published studio, the publisher puts in the money, and the publisher is basically funding that project for the rights to be the one that sells the game. They take the game to market. So at that point, it's always going to be about a business decision. And you know, this is why studios, unfortunately, suffer the axe.
Another casualty is Ready at Dawn.
Yeah.
They did. I don't know if you know this, but they did the God of War games for the PSP.
Oh yes, the Chains of Olympus and whatnot.
Yeah, I'm not sure if they worked in any other before The Order, but The Order was such a great game.
That's one of those that everybody's constantly said, I want another game from this and another photo mode from this, because the style of that is just down my street as well. It was like a very movie cinematic style, wasn't it? The whole game, I think, was in the 21 by 9.
Yeah, and the photos, you could only take the photos in 21 by 9, which to you is like...
That's fine. It's one less thing to change.
Yeah.
But like great freedom in that photo mode. It was way, way ahead of its time. Both the game and the photo mode.
It was my first it tweet, showing the camera range.
Yeah.
It was my first it tweet. It was my first tweet to reach, I think, 500 at the time. I thought, whoa, it's going viral. Yeah, I remember like freaking out with the range. You could go outside of the buildings with that photo mode. And the models, like the graphics of that game for the time, for the PS4, are like insane. Yeah. Which is why the game is so short, sadly.
And I think now it would be better received if it was priced right. If you brought that out now at like that £35 price, I think it'd do really well. Like kind of the Kenner space. That came out
exactly.
Yeah. There's a space for it now, but back then everyone was like, "Oh, it's not 100 hours, pointless." Like, no.
And the sad thing is that the studio was bought. Meta bought the studio.
Yeah. Was it while it was still Facebook? I think they went to do Facebook to work on the Oculus projects and stuff, wasn't it?
And then, like 2 weeks ago, they laid off 1/3 of the studio, including studio heads.
Yeah.
And the director of the studio was saying that they always wanted to continue The Order, but the IP belongs to Sony.
Yeah, so that's the complication then, isn't it? Like we said before, that the publisher comes and funds it. I mean, it's a good thing that they make the project happen. Otherwise, that studio might not be able to actually make the game. But unfortunately, then they keep the rights to the IP. So even the title of the game, the whole universe, everything. You see it a lot, don't you, with other IPs that get wrangled up in being held by another publisher and they can't remake it or make a sequel or whatever. That's a big downside. You do get some studios that sort of move on and they make almost like spiritual successors to things. So like one of my favourite studios in racing actually was Evolution Studios, which again was another PlayStation one that got shut down. And they made MotorStorm, which was wonderful. I loved MotorStorm on PS3. Yeah. That was like the PS3 experience.
Yeah, everyone, I remember in high school, everyone with their PSPs. And
MotorStorm RC.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. That was the first game on Platinum twice. I loved it so much because you could get the Platinum on console and on the portable. So I did both. It's so good. But then they did Drive Club, and the photo mode again in Drive Club was spectacular. And then that went away, and I actually forget because they moved on and did Onrush.
The servers shut down recently
for Onrush, but did they do Onrush as Evo or as Codemasters? Because the team moved to Codemasters essentially. The studio got shut. And this is the good thing that can happen, is that the creative team finds a new home and they go somewhere else. So they can't make a new MotorStorm or a Drive Club, whatever, but they can make a new IP. That can happen sometimes. Yeah. In fact, Respawn, as in Jedi Survivor, the team at Respawn used to be Infinity Ward, They were founded. Did you not know that? Respawn
No.
formed from people who left Infinity Ward, because originally they kept having to sort of make the caveat of, who is this studio, and it was always former creators of Call of Duty, because that's what you knew them for. And then Respawn has become established. You don't need to say that anymore. But that's how Respawn came about. Yeah,
Didn't know. Whoa.
There you go.
That's a cool story.
Yeah. But it doesn't always work out right, because the Evo guys, like I say, went to Codemasters. I think Onrush wasn't as well received as they'd hoped for. And then Paul Rushy ended up leaving. And then they got bought by EA. And I think that team just kind of fragmented and is gone now.
It was my first
swallowed up.
Racing game with a photo mode.
Which
and
Onrush.
Onrush. And the
Yeah.
first that I played with shutter speed, and the game kept like wobbling everything because you had to click and load everything.
Yeah.
And when I pressed load, everything started to distort and do things, and I was like, what am I doing wrong?
That photo mode ended up with a lot of it was in Dirt 5 as well, because some of the team worked on Dirt 5, and you can see the DNA of the Drive Club and the Onrush photo mode in Dirt 5. So it's good that when those expertise get deployed elsewhere, but it just ends up kind of going away. So as for Pixelopus, who knows what will happen with the team. They're small enough that they might be able to find a home somewhere else, hopefully.
I have a question that we actually never didn't discuss this. What about studios closing down for virtual photography? Like, is there a point to play the order right now and post the order right now on social media if you won't get the studio interactions and people won't know that game?
I mean, okay, so the point to do it would just be the artistic creation that you want to get out of that. But if you're going off, I mean, in terms of social media trend, it will be very much off trend. You're not going to get a large interaction from it unless you've got such a massive account that you can drive that yourself. You're definitely not going to get anything from a studio account. What you might pick up is the people who did work there.
The devs,
Yeah, we talked about that last week, about the actual devs interacting and seeing appreciation for the work they'd done, and that's a nice experience for them. So you might pick up some of that.
By the way, Respawn, some of the devs are reaching out to VPs to ask if they can use the VPs in their portfolios.
Oh, okay, that's cool. So, as in a capture of the character creation or the environment, right? Do you know what? Ages and ages ago, I think who it was. I think it was Novi. I think, because they asked me a little bit about this, because they've been approached by someone from the Assassin's Creed team to be commissioned to capture some shots of the environments that they worked on, and they went and did that for them.
That's really
cool opportunity. Yeah,
I know an Insomniac artist that uses the photos of the suits, the photos that we take of the suits as the ArtStation cover of his work, and then he has like every art that he did on the suit, but the main banner is only VP. It's
a perfect way to capture the art, isn't it? So you're about to say we're gonna have a tribute to Pixelopus by taking a look at Concrete Genie. So we're gonna go back, and this has been a bit of a tribulation because I connected this old PlayStation, which then wouldn't connect to the internet because it needed to update the system software. So did that. Then it wouldn't sign in because I guess my password had changed or something. Did that. Finally got the game, and then I couldn't access my saves because Sony's financially motivated decision to put your save files behind the PlayStation Plus paywall. Yes, the PS4 does let you export to USB, but I don't have it. It's on Plus, and my Plus is expired because I didn't want to continue the premium, and I don't want to get it until it's on offer. because why not? But anyway, we've eventually got the game working, but it does mean right at the start. But that doesn't matter because we're just going to be looking at
the
how
photo,
interesting. I guarantee almost everybody watching this has never played Concrete Genie or used the photo mode.
Yeah, for sure. I was looking.
What year was it?
2018, 19.
Are you sure?
Pretty sure.
Let's find out.
19, yeah.
2019.
October 8th, yeah.
Time flies. I mean, that 4 years isn't that long ago, but in a space like this, when it moves on so quickly and things get quickly forgotten, 8th of October 2019, yeah. I guarantee that most people haven't ever played it, haven't seen this photo mode. So,
It's a shame.
It is a shame.
So let's show it.
Right, let me just switch over. The menu, by the way, is very busy because it's styled off Ash's scrapbook, isn't it?
Yeah.
There you go.
That's
You can
another
see the
thing
book
that I
pages.
really enjoyed of the game. The aesthetics are so cool. Did you used to like play around in your draw things in your books in school?
Not a lot, to be honest. I've never been a big drawer.
I did drawings like this, like sketches,
Yeah.
all of the time. I actually wanted to go to arts instead of communication. So, yeah, this game spoke to me.
Yeah. Well, like I said, the whole kind of point of the story is all about freedom of creativity and not being stifled and whatnot.
Yeah.
So the world is quite sort of drab at the start, isn't it? Everything's like this, broken down.
Another thing that I was before we started recording, you were playing the beginning area, the tutorial of this, and another thing that I noticed is one of the reasons that it might not have picked up in the VP space is, like we spoke before, the graphics. These graphics are not hyper realistic.
No.
So that might have led to not many VPs picking it up. But again, it's a great way to showcase like games that are creative in other ways than graphics.
Yeah, I mean, there's lots of kind of stylized games that work really well, and Sifu is a perfect recent example. It doesn't even try to be photorealistic. It's somewhere between like real rendering and cell shading. It's not cell shading, is it? It's a lot more sort of depth to it than that. But if it's all in keeping, it absolutely works. And this is a really perfect example.
This is almost like the design of the characters is almost like Tim Burton-ish. Like, I don't know if that makes sense. Like the aesthetic of the game, like it's a shipping town, like really near a port town, and everything is like darkened, and then you play around with colors, and the designs of the genies are really cool.
The genie, I don't have any genies, unfortunately, because it's right at the start of the game. Hopefully would have had more, but anyway, we're just gonna see what the Photomode can do. But yeah, he's got a massive paintbrush, and I remember them showing it. The thing I've never played. This is in VR as well, and you can do the painting, so you can paint all this stuff on the walls. These are all sort of drawn by you. You get like little modules. I can't remember how to do it. I know I just did it before. There we go. So we can pick grass, and we just spray grass across the bottom there.
That's so cool. That's so inventive.
Trees. Let's put some trees in the background there and draw a tree up there. And look at the tree just grows where you've did multiple trees.
And right now everything is closed down because you only have landscapes, but you can. I remember that you can do so much.
You unlock all sorts of stuff, different skies and rainbows and insects, and you can make really beautiful. It's kind of graffiti, isn't it? What you're doing?
Yeah.
but it's like hologrammatic graffiti, and then the genies themselves are also like this, and they follow you around.
Yeah, and they interact with your drawings.
Yeah, like they'll eat the apple.
Yeah. So cool.
But yeah, that all plays a part in the photo mode actually. So this is the first one you had to draw. It teaches you, and then the big genie Luna has gone up to the top of the lighthouse somewhere, is it?
I think so, and I think you will have to like climb.
Yeah, well I'll just do it here for now anyway. So
Yeah, no problem.
nicely, photo mode shortcut. Take note, respawn, L3 R3. Click and we're in the photo mode. Who knew it could be so easy?
Oh, that was a nice pose.
Yeah. He's reaching out to the are these snowflakes or there's kind of confetti and all sorts. But there you go. That like minimalist UI there. Let's just look at the range, by the way. There you go. That's all.
It's really cool that the UI is really minimalistic. I always like that UI doesn't take up too much space in the screen.
It's a difficult trade-off between how many features you want in and how much you see. And that's why I think the Tsushima one's really good, because they've got a lot of features and it doesn't take over the screen. But yeah, range isn't huge, but again, for a 2019 game, that isn't unusual. In fact,
it's bigger than God of War.
It is a lot. That's probably, I don't know, 10 meters maybe. I usually try and figure out a way of calculating it in the game. As long, if you've got a focus distance, you can always work it out. There's nothing.
I never thought of doing that. That's why you do reviews.
It is why I do reviews. Did you notice my comment about the the Jedi Survivor focus distance being in millimeters, and it can't possibly be because you just watch it. And I was like, this doesn't make any sense. Anyway, so what have we got here? Right, I can move truck and dolly. So truck, side to side. Dolly is forwards and backwards. That's why I always use these
really
terms.
cool that is not an orbit camera. In 2019, this was really innovative.
This is pan, 360 degrees, and this is tilt. Not everybody, a lot of people erroneously call roll tilt, as in this. That's roll. And pan and tilt is the same. Can you
roll 90 degrees?
I think you can roll all the way around if I remember correctly.
I know you can roll at least 90.
We're past 90. We're going to 180, and we're past 180. I'm going to say it goes all the way around. Flex that neck.
Yeah, that's the muscle that every VP works.
There we go.
On.
All the way back. There's no snap back to the horizon, so if you want it dead level again, you're gonna have to reset and sacrifice anything else that you did. Oh, there we go. I was gonna say I can't crane, so this is crane. Is up and down. It says offset, which I can move side to side with the offset as well, which is the same as what the left stick does. Yeah, they're pretty nice, natural, intuitive controls. It's always tricky compared to another photo mode where, say, crane was on the triggers and now it's on zoom. So you've got to adapt.
The thing about comparing photo modes is that I wish they would. Everyone should have a meeting. Every developer should have a meeting and have the same button mapping.
Yeah, it reminds me every time of like PS2 era first-person shooters when none of them had decided which button is grenade, which one is reload, and you switch from one, and you're like, oh god, I can't do anything. It's just like that. And yeah, the sooner that they all kind of settle on the default, the better, definitely. I'm getting this wrong because on Survivor, the camera doesn't invert, and on this it does. Right. But yeah, so there's two parts to this photo mode. It separates the camera movement, which is this one, and then you press the big touchpad, you go into edit mode. So now the camera's frozen. I can't actually move at all. I've got to press that to get back to it to be able to move.
This would be a great game to port to PC.
Yeah, well, that's not going to happen now, is it? Anyway, so here we've got all of the editing functions, if you will. So temperature, saturation, contrast, vignette, film grain, chromatic aberration, my favourite, bloom, I actually really do like bloom, lens flare, depth of field, replay speed. We'll come back to replay speed.
Wait.
That's a really cool feature.
Really?
Yeah.
Replay speed. What is it? I want to see it.
So you want to see it now, do you? So back on the camera mode. By the way, lens flare, you notice happening quite a lot in this. When we're just catching on the... There you go. That's a beautiful lens flare.
Yeah.
Some of them are very kind of rudimentary and like just draw shapes on the screen, but that is a really gorgeous lens flare. There's even like elements of dust in the lens.
I didn't think I'd comment, but when you said that it's like a really small team, I had no idea because
the quality standard is better.
It's the quality is so good.
Yep, I agree. So replay. So if I just pull back and zoom out a little bit, so the drawing that I did on the wall, and this, as far as I know, is a unique feature in any game and any photo mode. But you press start replay and it redraws the graffiti that you did.
Yeah.
Now,
Can you do the one that you drew
This
on the... Yeah.
Yeah. So they all do it. The entire world does it. So everything that you've drawn anywhere will... there you go. Will redraw. It does it in sequence as well. So, I mean, this hasn't been planned out in any way. But if you draw it in such a way that you very slowly build it up and you add in elements one at a time, you can kind of make it look like it's growing.
That's so cool.
You know, I mean, I remember doing it. So you set off... Let me just set the replay speed down. That'll help. So you create the sequence, let's say from left to right, like along this wall. And then you set off the replay, hide the UI, and just track the camera along as it's replaying.
You did that, right?
Yeah, I did do that. Yeah, there we go. So it starts to grow. And, you know, if you imagine if you put the flowers growing in this order from left to right, you're basically going along with it. And it's like, you know, like on nature programs where they do the time lapse of fungus growing and stuff like that. You can do that with it. It's really novel.
Yeah. It's an underappreciated gem.
I agree. Yeah. But let's just check out what some of those... and by the way, I'm going to see whether I can edit those with the UI hidden. Saturation on 50. No, you can't. No, never mind. Right. Cooler temperature. So, woo.
What?
Green.
Green is not the temperature.
Down to blue, and then it goes extreme. Do you know what? Sometimes I like when the settings have extremes, because you can find novel and weird ways of using them. So that's normal at that end, at least. Yeah, that's fine. Cooler temperature works. I'd like more games to have that, plus saturation, plus contrast, because you only ever get filters, and they just set, and that's it. Saturation, wow, that's a really strong saturation. But in a game as colourful as this, it's nice to have that skill.
Yeah.
Does it go right down to fully black and white? Yes, it does.
Yeah,
Nice.
I've been wishing for a contrast one on Survivor recently.
Yeah, there's those two filters that kind of add a little bit of contrast, and beyond that you're at the mercy of what you've got. Basically contrast is doing the black levels here.
Yeah.
Trying to zoom in, I guess. Where was next? Vignette. Okay, so that's just darker around the edges. I don't often use much vignette. Some people like to have a really heavy one because it sort of draws you into the center.
Not a fan.
It's got its uses, but it's not really something.
Yeah. No.
Film grain. Again, that's not a bad film grain. It always looks worse when it's moving because you're seeing it dancing about and stuff. When you take the shot, obviously it'll only do one iteration of that. I would never sort of put it up this high anyway. That's like extreme. It's nice to have just a little bit to take that digital edge off things.
I like to play around with it and chromatic aberration, but I don't know how to use chromatic aberration, so I end up not taking the shot.
Don't use chromatic aberration.
No, before we started recording, you were talking about giving it that like vintage look.
Yeah.
Old photo vintage look, and yeah, that's what I'm going for sometimes. But I end up like not knowing how to use those settings, so I give up.
Well, it's always different in different games for a start. This goes back to the top of the list, by the way, when you switch from camera to settings and bracket temperature. So if you were doing that and then just moved, then you come back to it for reset. That's unfortunate. It's always different in different games. Some of them, that chromatic aberration in a camera is a lens flaw, and you buy expensive lenses to avoid it, and you just get color fringing on sort of on very harsh edges where there's a high contrast, like a sky behind a tree branch. That's where you typically see it. You spend money to avoid that, so I never want to add it unless, like you say, you're trying to generate that sort of vintage lo-fi look. But in games, it's usually this sort of just they separate the red, green, and blue channels, and it looks a little bit like an old, the two-colored 3D glasses image.
Yeah.
But because they're separating the channels, it means that the whole image gets distorted. They usually confine it to the edges and not in the center, because that's typically where it affects lenses more. But it effectively blurs the picture. It doesn't just add a color fringe. It separates three versions of the picture and makes it look unclear again. So here, it's kind of doing some of that. So if you look at the end of his brush handle, there.
Yeah.
See, that looks like an old 3D image, as in that there's more than one image that's misaligned. So you can see under his arm, for example, there's a yellow and a red, and then his arm is dark in the middle, then there's a kind of a blue and the green. So that's actually separating at least 4 channels. I don't like it. It's not a feature that I'm fond of at all. But it's frequently
I even
there.
go into the settings and turn it off if the game has it on.
It's the first thing I do. I've just done it in Survivor. Ratchet and Clank is one that you have to do it, because Ratchet and Clank is crisp. Like, if you turn chromatic aberration off, it is absolutely crisp and clear. With the aberration on, it just muddies it, and it's like this just soggy mess. I don't like it. Anyway, enough about that. Bloom, right, especially in this photo mode, is really good.
That's a great addition to this photo mode.
Yeah, this is a good example of them thinking about not just a photo mode for the sake of photo mode, but what works with this game. So, see, I can bracket temperature all the way down. Bloom. So what Bloom does is, essentially on a camera sensor, a really bright light can bleed into the next pixel. So you're generating a voltage on the sensor in each pixel. And if it's so bright, that spills over into the pixels next to it as well. So you get like a haze and a glow effect around a light source. So if we bump this up, you see that those lights up there, the stars, the painted stars, start to glow. And it gives it that kind of ethereal, otherworldly type look, which is just perfect for this. Look at that now.
That's turning out to be a good picture, by the way.
No, I'm not even taking a picture. Don't say that. Oops. Where's the there's no, I remember this from the review. There's no exposure.
Yeah.
Because now I want to increase the bloom, but just dial the exposure down a little bit to put a bit of detail back in.
Can you do it with contrast?
No, because that'll just exaggerate the blacks, and that's not what I want.
Yeah.
See, I didn't want to, like, now the floor is really dark. I didn't want that. Yeah, just an exposure setting would have been nice there. But I love the bloom. I want more of that. Not very many games have got it at all. Gran Turismo's got a good one. But Gran Turismo's got pretty much every feature.
Days Gone has it.
Yeah, it is gone. Yeah. That again has pretty much every feature.
Yeah.
Lens flare. I'm going to have to go back to one of those little floating orbs. There you go. Oh my word. It's now showing all the hex. So you get hexagons like this because it's your aperture blades. Depends on how many there are as to whether it's a hexagon, octagon, or much more complex than that. Oops. Where was it? Lens flare. Dial it back down. Perfect. If this Photomode came out now, I'd be impressed with it.
Yeah,
and it's 4 years old.
But it's like that. Like the really innovative photo modes that come out before their time, they always get overlooked somehow.
Yeah.
Like a good example is Second Son.
Yeah. Although the camera controls are diabolical. Like the worst.
Yeah. They are so bad. But
I know what they were trying. Go on.
The features that it gives you are like way ahead of anything.
Yeah.
From that time.
Their optics are fantastic, and they show again in Tsushima the actual optical characteristics. Yeah. Their depth of field is probably amongst the best. In fact, it is amongst the best. But the infamous camera control is infamous for a reason. It was really. So the last thing that we didn't look at then was that depth. That lens flare is a bit much now.
Lens flare, and now
depth of field, which is like a simplified version. There's no aperture settings or anything here. So normally you would set an aperture value. A wider aperture gives you shallower depth of field, and then you place the focus. This just adds depth of field, and then the slider seems to move where the point of focus is. So you can see it here. It's on Ash, and then move it further on. Ash is now out of focus, but the broken glass on the floor behind him is in focus, and then it carries on across the floor onto the back wall and eventually into the distance. But then nice bokeh. Again, it can be circular, it can be oval, it depends on your lens. They will change shape in the corner of frames and stuff.
I like hexagonal.
Hexagonal's nice, yeah. I like all of this photo mode, to be honest.
Yeah.
So
I know we are doing this as a tribute, but I'm getting even more sad.
Yeah. Well, you know what to do. Go and play Concrete Genie, and this isn't even showing the full charm of it, because this is literally just checking out what the Photomode can do.
The very beginning, yeah.
The whole charm of this game and the genies that you get. You've got a little one on my bag now who's already alive. Let me just zoom into him a little bit. Oops. You can see him just in the back of my bag.
Can you go into photo mode and zoom in into him?
Onto him, yeah. Let me just go somewhere a bit lighter and do it.
Because you get like, is it 4 or 5? You get the electricity one.
Oh, the different colours, yeah.
Yeah.
Whoops. Unzoom. He's upside down.
They move around your bag, and they are super cute.
Yeah. And you can create your own genies. So just like doing this, if I go into here, look, genies, you actually get to draw the genies, and you give them proportions, don't you?
Yeah.
You come out with
all sorts of features like horns and types of fur, scales. Yeah.
Yeah, go and play Concrete Genie. And in fact, maybe we should try and organise a bit of a Concrete Genie event before the studio closes.
Closes down, yeah. If I ever have kids, this is a game that I'm going to play with them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like this, Knack is another one. I like Knack.
Knack's surprisingly hard, though.
This looks totally sturdy.
Yeah. Crash Bandicoot is another one,
that's
but that's
very hard.
Yeah, but I grew up with.
Here we go.
Crash Bandicoot.
This
this
can be
your
to
first?
end.
This?
I'm gonna draw the
I
first
used to draw
genie.
these things all over town when
I
I was
think
little,
that's what we're about to do.
but I don't remember this
So
one.
Luna is kind of like
How did it
the
get here?
mother genie, and she's wanting you to bring them all back, basically.
Look
And
at
bring
this.
What's going on
life
back there,
back.
Splotch?
There you go. Look at that one. It's hard not to just find joy in this game.
Yeah.
Square.
Okay,
Right.
then.
Hold R2 to paint a genie. Try painting the body from top down. Okay, so I can choose which. Oh, which one would you like? I'll let you choose. We've got the sort
Oh,
of
I always love the third one.
this lanky bean here,
Yeah, it's
Okay.
like a slither.
like a weasel.
Yeah.
So shall I make? I'm holding R2. I'm gonna make him
Just
very
incredible.
long. Oh, I've run out. That was it. I only got that short bit. Hold R2 while dragging. Yeah, I did that.
No, now it's the features like
Oh,
the
it's-
board.
I'm not dreaming.
What the heck? What monstrosity are you?
Sorry, genie. Undo. If I do him horizontally, I seem to remember that they get. I thought I was doing legs. You see, I was about to do his legs, and I thought, no, I remember
No, that's another thing, I think.
horns.
This
There we go.
brush is awesome.
I've not got the. Oh, that's a big horn.
You are not very good at drawing
Hey, I'm using
with
the
a
stick.
controller.
I'm using the stick. You can do it with motion controls, and I've got it turned off. There we go.
Never thought
Why
I'd
are
see
you
one
adding
life-sized.
more horns? Like different.
More horns are better. I'm gonna give them flowing down his back.
Okay. I didn't
Uh,
realize that.
There we go.
I promise you, the genies are cute. He's just
The ge-
bad at drawing them.
Now then, tail or no tail?
Ooh, tail.
Big or
Tail-
small? Or small
Tails make everything better.
Tail? All right. I didn't know that.
This brush
we
is
go.
awesome.
So now, that's all I've got available. But there's loads of component parts.
Yeah.
So there's what 5 there, and I'm presuming there's the same number on each, so 12 on each, so 60 parts. Hold square to bring the genie to life. It's alive! There you go, he's got his legs. See, he's like a dog mode. Because you draw him horizontally, he runs on all fours. If I drew him vertically,
there.
he'd be like a bipedal genie and stand upright.
He seems so evil though.
Yes, he loves it. And they will interact with you, won't they? They'll like,
If you draw something like an apple,
I'll give him an apple and see
Or-
if he's hungry. Hey, eat.
don't you have to draw on the wall that is in?
Oh, I thought it was the same wall. Here you go. Do you like fire?
That's another thing. They will warm by
Apple,
the
apple, apple.
fire. Apple, apple, apple.
He's not hungry.
Maybe that's something that you unlock in.
Yeah. Well, they end up telling you what they want, don't they? So we've got a
Yeah.
bit of Aurora going on now. Look at that. Beautiful. Yeah, they end up like sat there going, "Oh, I want such a thing," and you can draw it for them. Let's see what that looks like in the replay. I'm just going to turn the speed down.
It will be horrible.
Of course. Yeah. I mean, given some time, it would make something nice.
Yeah.
There we go. Oh, the genie appears first. Apple. Another apple. The sideways fire.
The forest is on fire.
Yeah, there we go. So that's it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That was cool. That
Oh,
was really
call the
cool.
genie's
Any
over.
chance you can help with this?
Here he is. He doesn't. Oh, he's blowing the fire. Did you see?
Yeah.
Thank you, genie.
Thanks.
Ooh.
Fire genies can burn red tarps. There you go. That was the perfect demonstration, as it turned out.
By pure chance.
Right, let's end it there.
Yeah. So, I hope you enjoyed this trip down memory lane if you played Concrete Genie. If not, go play it. It's the
Yes.
perfect time. And we will catch you all next week. Bye.
Bye.